Hello everyone. I will be doing a honor swatches of the Sleep Makeup Holiday Collection called Bring On the Night, as I had promised in my tutorial video that I place up, that I'll come back and do swatches. So today I will be using the Eco Tools Makeup Brush Cleansing Cloth that I talked about in a recent haul video that I put up, that I will be testing out these wipes to see how they work for swatch videos. And so these, it basically just looks like a makeup remover wipe. And then I will also be using a dry paper towel to basically dry off the brush once I'm done, that represent this vintage romance palette. So the first shade is called Pretty in Paris. So it's like this silver, almost look like a silver shimmer color. So I'm just gonna take some on my brush, and I'm just gonna start swatching here. And it has this pearlescent, if that's a word, pearlescent hue to it. It definitely looks like a color that you can use to accent your eyes. It has this frost finish to it. So it definitely, as I put more layers on it, it definitely is a buildable shade. So if you just wanted to like highlight your inner corner or your tear duct, this is a great shade. Or you just want to accent it over an eyeshadow, this would be a great color. And it has this white silver type. The next shade is called Meet in Madrid, and it's a nice gold, just a regular gold shade. So it's definitely a shimmer finish. So this is the first layer. Y'all can see, hopefully you can see this, because I'm basically arranging my lights to help show the actual colors, since I don't have any more natural daylight. I'm hoping that this will show the color. So it's a nice gold. Okay, and that shade again was Meet in Madrid. Okay, this next shade is like a, I would say more of a copper bronze shade, and I use this in the in the basically the demo that I use of the Vintage Romance palette to create my eye look. So this is a cool tone bronze shade. And I like these shades because they are buildable. But again, they also are not going to be very intense. So if you know you like eyeshadow palettes that have enough pigment without looking too bold, this is a beautiful palette to select. So those are the first three shades. Again, has a shimmer finish, which I feel most of the shades in this palette have shimmer finishes, except for maybe, just looking at it, I'll say maybe 3. But we'll see as we go, because I haven't looked into the other shades in the palette since I've done my, basically my look from the sleek holiday collection. And there are also additional sleek collection bundles that I have seen on Ulta website for those who may be looking for additional bundles. I left the information in the description box for the Sleek Makeup Bring on the Night collection video, since Sleek is now also at Target. The next shade is a very beautiful, almost look foiled, a mix of copper and gold. And it almost has, it's basically a blend of the second and the third shade. So you have that bronzy hue to it, but you also have that gold hue to it. Again, these shades will be beautiful as accent shadows. This would be nice over your eyelid and contrast with another color. Or they could be like beautiful eyeshadows to put along your bottom lash line area. That'll be also very cute. So that is, I forgot to tell you the name. So let me start back over because I wasn't giving you a name as I was swatching. So the first color so far is Pretty in Paris. Second shade is Me in Madrid. The third shade is called Court in Candies. And the fourth shade is Lust in LA. So I just got finished swatching Lust in LA, which is a nice vibrant purple shade. Well, I say purple, I'm sorry. Nice vibrant golden mixed copper gold shade. So it's not as white gold as Me in Madrid. It's more of a medium tone gold with that touch of cool tone bronze to it. So it's a mix between Me in Madrid and Court and Candies. So again, this is Lust in LA, which is called Romance in Rome. And it's this nice, it looks almost duochrome. Has like a duochrome finish to it. It looks very pretty. That color is very pigmented. I think I'm going to have to make another video creating these looks. This is very pretty. So this is Romance in Rome. So it has a beautiful like duochrome shift to it, but it's more of like a purple shimmer with a black base. So it kind of gives that duochrome finish to it. So very beautiful. And a lot of these shades, I do find that they are romantic hues. So I think Sleek did an excellent job with selecting the names for the colors. and also selecting the colors for this Vintage Romance palette. So the next shade is called Propose in Prague, and it's a standard. In the pan, it looks like a medium brown tan matte shade, but when I apply it to my skin, it's very cool tone and is much darker than the color that's in the pan. So it looks light in the pan, but if you swatch it on your skin, it's going to appear much darker in color. So this is your transition shade from this palette. So those are the first the first 6 shades from the top row of Vintage and Romance palette. And that last shade again is called Propose in Prague. So the 7th shade, so we're going to the bottom row, moving from left to right. The 7th shade is called A Vow in Venice. So it looks like a plummy purple shade. So it's like almost basically like a metallic. Has a metallic feel, or at least look to it. And it has a purple shift, so it has like a sheen, so it looks like a cross between a shimmer and could be a buildable metallic shade. But again, these are the colors without any primer. So if they look intense without primer, could you only imagine how they will look under primer, or under a base, a cream base, or a matte base. If you use a matte base primer, all your colors are going to look matte. But if you're just using a standard primer, then these are going to be the shades with a bit of a more intensity to it. So again, that's A Vow in Venice. The next shade again in the plum. So we basically have on the bottom row the first 4 shades, so 7 through 10 are all plummy. Basically plummy shades of variation. So this was more like a purple plum type color with almost like a black base, but not quite. This one looks like it has possibly glitter, purple glitter with a touch of red. So it's a little bit lighter than A Vow in Venice, but they're very close, almost close in shade, just a different undertone to it. So basically that is Mary and Monte Carlo. So Mary and Monte Carlo. So again, it's like sisters to A Vow in Venice, but a different shift. This one has more of a pearlescent shift or sheen to it, and it's much more of a slight lighter purple hue, and this is more almost like a black and dark plum, like with a dark base to the shadow. So the knife shade It's called Honeymoon in Hollywood that I'm going to be swatching next. So this is like your dusty mauve shade. It has some flecks of silver glitter in it. And I use this color in my look for that sleep holiday. Bring on the night eye look. So as I'm swatching this with my brush, you can see, hopefully you can see the silver shimmers in it. And to me this feels like a matte shade. So this is definitely a matte finish. So basically this is a matte with silver flecks. And this is a shade you will have to build up. Some of the other colors that are more intense doesn't require a lot of building, but this one you will have to build up the shade. So again, that is Honeymoon in Hollywood. So all the pretty silver sparkles. And the next shade, which is the tint shade, is called Bliss in Barcelona. So this is like a duochrome dark purple shade. And this one definitely has, it lays down almost like a metallic finish to it. And a very nice purple shade. So that is Bliss in Barcelona. My swatches are kind of moving in a crooked way, but that's okay as long as you all see the shades. So that is very beautiful. And it has a different finish, like the shine is not as intense. It's a bit opaque compared to the other, especially the first 5 shades. They are more intense in the shine, and this is more, it's dull, so it's almost like a matte, not a matte, I'm sorry, more of a metallic finish to it. So definitely a color that can be placed all over the eyelid for intensity, or your outer V, your crease area. So the next shade is called Forever in Florence. And again, I think this is a matte with silver shimmers, just like Honeymoon in Hollywood. This has this dark, very dark berry shade to it. Smoky purple is what I called it in the video. It's a very smoked out purple shade. And it definitely has a matte finish to it. So that is Forever in Florence. And I like smoky colors, like these types of colors. because I do gravitate to smoky eyes. I love smoky, dramatic eye looks. And that's definitely a beautiful color to use as a, I think, all over the eyelid shade, or possibly even as a transition shade, but because of all that glitter, you may not want to use that. So I'm thinking all over the eyelid or your lower lash line to give your look a more of a pop color. And the last shade, which is the 12th shade, is called Love in London. So it's a beautiful, it looks like a duochrome, almost like the 5th shade, which is Romance in Rome, on the top row. So I'm trying to keep my arms in position for you all, so you can, I was going to move it back, but I'm just going to leave it in view so you all can see it. So this is called Love in London, and it's definitely a, like a smoke charcoal color, like a charcoal gray shade. It's not quite black, and has a very oil slick type of finish to it. So that is all shades. And I think Love in London is like a matte shade, but again, it's different. Just like how Bliss in Barcelona look, that has that, Bliss in Barcelona has that more metallic kind of finish, whereas Love in London is basically like a oil slick shade. Is a mix of a charcoal and with a black base to it. So it's not quite black, and you have some shiver, not shiver, some silver, I'm getting tongue tied here. Have some silver flecks in it, but it's not as intense as Honeymoon in Hollywood or Forever in Florence in terms of that silver flecks. So those are all 12 shades from the Vintage and Romance palette. And I will be swatching the blush palette and also the highlighting palette, so you all can see that as well. So stay tuned. So I wanted to also show you all up close the colors before I remove them to start the swatches of the blush palette. So basically this is the color, moving from left to right. I'm going to step out of focus for a second to read back the names. And again, you have the first one, Pretty in Paris, which is that nice silver shimmer color. The next shade is Me in Madrid, which is that nice almost like a white gold shade. Third shade is Court and Candies, which is a copper brown shade. The fourth shade is called Lust in LA, which is a mix between Me and Madrid and Court and Candies. So that nice, I would say maybe a cooler tone gold shade. Next shade is Romance in Rome, a beautiful duochrome shimmer and black, but a black base. Next shade is called Propose in Prague, which is like your transition shade. A Vow in Venice, Married in Monte Carlo, which is the 8th shade. So this is Married in Monte Carlo. This is A Vow in Venice. Honeymoon in Hollywood, which have that silver flecks in it. This shade is called Bliss in Barcelona. This one is Forever in Florence. It's a little bit patchy, and it's definitely a shade that you have to build up the color for it. But I also have the silver flecks. And this is Love in London, which is like this oil slick charcoal gray with a black finish to it. A black base, I mean. So these are Love in London, Forever in Florence, Bliss in Barcelona, Honeymoon in Hollywood, Married in Monte Carlo, Vow in Venice, Propose in Prague, and Romance in Rome, Lust in LA, Court and Candies, Me in Madrid, and Pretty in Paris. So again, those are all 12 shades. To swatch the blushes on my arm, and not the Morphe M408, which was a flat shader eyeshadow brush, so I had to switch brushes. Wasn't thinking that I was done with my eyeshadow swatches. So here is the first shade in the blush trio. And there is some fallout. I don't know if y'all can see that. So the color is very faint on me. I don't see that this color is going to really pick up on me very well. And you can see that it is powdery. So there's nothing to be shown there, unfortunately. So that is a very light shade. So I already know most definitely that's not going to be a shade to work for me. As far as using as an eyeshadow, perhaps, maybe it could be used as another purpose, but that color that I swatched it right here did nothing for my skin tone. Like it didn't. Let's try. If I pick up the dust and finger swatch it, it still doesn't show up. So that's that shade. We're going to move in with the next shimmer shade, which I was trying to keep this in focus for you all so you can see it. So this is the shimmer, like a peachy orange. There's a lot of fallout, so be prepared. So if you use this blush, just be aware. I don't know if it could be just my brush, but this is a brush that is made for blushes, so I don't know, because it's angled, if it's making a lot of that fallout. Let me grab a different brush and see if that makes a difference. More of a tapered, fluffy e.l.f. blush brush. And we're going to see if this makes it different. Sometimes brushes pick up way too much pigment and it is some fallout, or it doesn't stick as well to the brush. So let's try this. There's still some fallout. To me, this is not really a blush. This is more, it could be like a highlighter shade, if you think about it, or you just want to have a nice, subtle, I don't know if you all can see that, if you just want a nice, subtle sheen to your skin. These colors are very, I would say, very neutral on my skin tone. But if you're someone who is more fair tone, like fair skin to maybe medium, more lighter complexion than me, then that gold and that apricot will look very pretty, very shimmery. But right now it just looks like a light sheen, almost like a border and highlight shade on my skin. So it's not very intense. I don't know if y'all can see that. So the blushes are not as intense. The apricot was when I swatched it on my cheeks. Not swatched it on my cheek, but when I wore it on my cheeks with the whole collection look, I felt the apricot picked up. So we're going to go in with the apricot, which is the third shade, and take a cheeky peek in this blush trio palette. And this is how it looks. It doesn't really show up on my skin. It showed up on my face better than it does on my arm. So that's using a brush wash, and there is fallout. I still think it's a pretty blush. Is it, the best blush trio set? I would say not the best, but for what you're paying, it is, this is a drugstore line, so it is, in my opinion, it's not a bad palette. But also, we have to be aware, we have to choose blushes that are more for our skin tone. And I like peaches and the oranges and the apricots. So that's why when I was wearing my look for that collection, you didn't really notice it on my cheek. It's just like a flush because it blends really well into my skin tone. So you don't really see anything from the 3 swatches that I've done other than the shimmer blush. So I'm going to use my finger to try and see if it will show better from a finger swatch. So that is the finger swatch of it. It's very faint. It's very faint on me, and when you're applying this, if you're going to be wearing this blush from this particular bundle, I don't know if all the Sweet blushes are this way, but you just want to be gentle and just gently rub your brush across the color, because it does create fallout, as you can see on in front of me. So those are the first two shades. And they are a bit powdery. So I definitely think this trio palette is more for someone with fair skin, fair to medium skin. My skin is more in a medium to dark or dark skin, because I am more of a caramel complexion, or basically like a honey caramel type shade. But when you look at the finger swatches, you do see what the colors are. But the blushes, the brushes are only going to pick up so much. So that is the colors. With the apricot, peachy looking color, then the shimmer, kind of orange and gold shimmer shade, and then this a straight yellow shade. So that's what it looks like. I don't think these blushes are completely bad. You know, they're buildable. You just have to play around with them, in my opinion. But I have tried better ones in the drugstore line, like the Makeup Revolution blushes, and compared to this, I prefer the Makeup Revolution blushes. But I haven't tried the shimmer and this kind of like orangey mustard color on my cheeks. But I don't think particularly this shade would be able to be seen on me. And I do think because of the golden undertones to it, it's just going to disappear or look more, I don't know, more pale or something on my skin. Because you don't really see it here, but I would love to try this as maybe like a sheen or something over the blush, just to give a little bit of a pop on my cheek. So I think these two shades will work on my skin tone. So that is the blush. Take a cheeky peek. I don't know why I'm getting so tongue-tied. Take a cheeky peek blush trio set. So the last part of my swatch for today is from the Solstice highlighting palette and the Bring On the Night Sleep Makeup Holiday Collection bundle. Again, this is what the packaging looks like. That reflective gold plated packaging. Comes with the cover slip to protect. If you want to leave that in there, I tend to leave those in my palettes. I'm a creature of habit, so I just leave things in there, and it comes with a mirror. Again, it does not bend down. So I'm just going to leave it like that. And we're going to swatch it from left to right, top row, bottom row. And I'm going to find a brush that is for highlighting, so you can see. I'm going to do finger swatch, and I'm also going to do a brush swatch, so you all can see the difference between the two. And brush swatch is next. So this is the cream shade. Y'all can see that. It has definitely a pearlescent hue to it. So you only need a little bit if you're going to use this on your cheeks. The next shade is like this pink. It's like this pink, almost looks rose gold, but it looks like it have a silver base to it. And some of these colors are a bit misleading, because I was expecting this one to be more pink shimmer or a pinky highlighting shade, which it will depending on your skin tone, but on my skin tone it looks like a nice frosty highlighting, like a silver type shade. But it definitely has some pink hue to it, but it's just very faint. If you can see that. I can turn my fingers so y'all can see that. So this next shade is just a standard gold highlighting shade. And this particular color, you can see the variations in the colors, but they almost look like each other when you're looking at it. But as you look at them closely, the camera may not show the difference in hues, but hopefully you all can see it. There is a slight difference in the hue color. And as you build it up, you'll see the difference. And I think for this highlighting palette, this is a color that is most likely, again, for someone who's fair, like a fair skin tone. Us color girls could get away with it, but the variation in the colors, you're not going to see it as intensely. And again, this is more of a gold, I'm just going to call it like a gold highlighting dust shade. They are definitely pretty. The intensity is pretty, but I just hope for more. I wish for more variation in the shade against my skin tone. And I don't know if y'all can see it, because this is more the golden one, like a golden peach highlighting shade. This is just a standard, like a white gold champagne shade. This is more of a pinky, almost a lilac type hue. And this is a creamy, like bronze gold type shade. So those are the 4 highlighting shades from that palette. I would still use them, because they're just how I am. But I like the cream probably more than the beige bronze. Why I keep saying bronzer? Instead of the beige highlighting shades, I like the cream one better for my skin tone. But when I did the makeup look using this bundle, I used the cream, and I also used that golden shade here for my look. So I come up closer to the camera so y'all can see. Maybe you can see the variation in the hues. So the cream is definitely for us women of color. If you're my skin tone, maybe darker. But these lighter shades, and the highlighters, they do pop. So if you like something with intensity, the intensity is there. But if you're looking for something to show off more of the variation of colors, it's a little bit lacking in that department. But it's nevertheless a highlighting palette. But it's definitely going to be something that you want to build it on top of something else, another blush shade, just to get that variation, that depth on your cheek. And as far as the blushes, on the box, the shades look like how the shades look in the highlighter and the blush palette. With the blush palette and the eyeshadow palette, I feel like they deeper the colors a little bit to give a contrast of the shades. But the shades look exactly how they do, but just the blush shades look more lighter than it does how it presents on the actual, then it actually looks on the, can you all see that? So the blushes look lighter. Like, this doesn't look like an orange, it looks more of a mustard yellow. This looks like a more of a reddish gold color. And this looks just like a straight up apricot, not as deep. And also with the eyeshadows, I think they deepen up the photograph to give it more of a pop. So there's some contrast and depth. But this is identical. But you don't see enough of the blending of the shades here, and the shades do look a little bit darker here. So that's a little bit misleading. But as far as the performance and everything, you pretty much get what you get in this bundle. I don't think, again, it's a bad bundle, especially if someone who wants to try out some of the sleep palettes. But the only concern would be, again, is the colors for the skin tones, because some colors just aren't for every skin tone out there, but nevertheless I like them. And this color has more, even though it's not as peachy or rose gold, it's still, you can start to see some variation in the colors, but again, this color is more, I think, for my skin tone. So sorry for that long drawn out statement and my observation of from just watching the palettes today. So again, thank you for your time and thank you for watching. Bye. Hello y'all, I'm back again. I'm sorry, I forgot to provide brushes and fan brush swatches of this highlighting palette. I just totally forgot. I got lost in my train of thought and forgot that I need to come back and show you all that. So let me use the Cala brush to show you all the swatches using this brush, and then I'll do the fan brush to show some kind of variation, if any, in the color. So I'm going to go in with this brush. And with creams, you don't really need to use a brush, in my opinion. It does better with your fingers. And make sure you have clean fingers when you're applying your products to your face. But this is what it looks like using a brush. You all can see that. So that's the brush. Hopefully y'all can see. Y'all can see that. Then I'm going to go in with this brush and apply the net shade. And it applies these are like fat strokes in terms of the swatches. Y'all can see that. So it definitely makes a difference on what type of brush you use to apply the highlight and powders. This is the net shade on the bottom row. This gold type shade. But when you're doing a brush with them, they all again look similar in the shade. This is what this shade looks like with the brush. And then this is the last shade using the brush. So the intensity is there. The only difference is the variation in the colors. But it's definitely an intense. And that's the last shade which I was hoping would be more peachy gold, but maybe as I keep using it, because you know sometimes powders have a surface layer, so once you dig under the layer, maybe the color comes out, but this is what it looks like so far. So those are all 4 shades using this Cala brush that I picked up from Marshall's. And now I'm just gonna use part of my arm here to do the fan brushes. And I'm not sure if I can use this. I don't know if I could use the cream in this fan, but we'll try. Yeah, so creams don't work on fans, so that's not gonna work. So let's just swatch the 3 Bait powder shades. So y'all can see that it's like a light sheen, so it's not intense. Very light. I don't know if y'all can see that or not. So it's very light. I forgot to go in and dry this, change colors. I really need to buy one of those color switch sponge to try that as well when I'm doing my swatches. So this is the next golden shade. I'm not really liking the fan brush applications because you can't really see the color. It just leaves like a light sheen to your skin. And when you use the brush, there is some fallout also. So that's the difference with the fan brushes. So you don't really see and notice too much. Yeah, but the fan brush is my least favorite for the application of these highlight pigments. So again, let me bring it up closer to you. So this is the fan brush, which looks very sheer on my skin. This is the finger swatches. And these are that bronzer blush brush I use for the colors. So out of the whole collection, I would say that maybe the highlighting, though I like the intensity and you play, I think it applies better with certain brushes. So like when I use the Morphe brush to apply it on my cheek, it applied better. So your brushes also makes a difference, and also your application, how you apply it, makes a difference. Is it my favorite out of this bundle? I would say no. I don't hate it, but I think it's just okay. And it's definitely something okay for me, since this is the first time me trying from this company, that I just think it's okay. I've had better highlighters from the drugstore. And also in terms of the blush, I feel like I can only use the 2 shades. So the shimmer shade and the other apricot blush shade towards the end of the palette. I can't use that first shade because it doesn't blend. It blends too much with my undertones of my skin color, so I can't really use that. But I like the eyeshadow palette. I think that's my favorite out of the entire bundle. So that's it. So again, thank you for watching and have a blessed day. Bye.